Swagatam. Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to look at the wrist and how to keep the wrist strong and supple. And we're going to do some experiential anatomy so that we can bring a lot of awareness and clarity to our understanding of the wrists and anatomical reality that helps us to use our wrist in the healthiest way possible in daily life, but also in our yoga practice. So we're going to start with the bones. So taking a look at this skeleton, we can see the long finger bones, and we can see these chunky carpal bones that look like small river stones. And then we have these long forearm bones. So the wrist forms a bridge between the hand and the forearm. And the hand, the wrist, the forearm, elbow, and the shoulder are an open kinetic chain. And that's how we use the arm most frequently when we are doing things in our daily life, in this open kinetic chain. Sometimes in daily life we use it as a closed kinetic chain, like grabbing hold of a steering wheel, and many other things. But in yoga we do this a lot when we're in downward dog, planks, handstand. So it's really important to understand the best way to use our hands, wrists, and arms to bear weight in a healthy way. So that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to start by palpating the bones. So I'm going to just, we're just going to do one arm, and I'm going to let you do the other arm on your own time sometime. But we're just going to come down from the fingers and trace the bones of the hand. Right? So just feel the bones and the space in between the bones. Right? And just really get a sense of that shape there in your hand. And you'll notice as you get down into this area, those chunky river stone-like bones in there. It's harder to feel from this side than it is from this side. And then you can start to feel that connection as you move into, from here into the forearm bones. So notice this connection here. So just sort of feel around in there as if you've never seen a hand or an arm before and you're finding it for the first time and exploring it. All right? So, and then if you find this little sticky outy point, which is, an anatomical term, this is the end of your ulna bone. And that is this point here on the little finger side. So let's find that. Pretty easy to find. And we're just going to get our fingers around that bone, that long bone, and trace it straight to the elbow. And then that point of the elbow is the end of your ulnar bone. And you can feel that pretty easily. Okay, and then just kind of trace back down. Let's go over to the thumb side, and you can get your fingers around this radius bone here. And as you trace along the radius, and you can sort of get a grip, you start to get into a lot of soft tissues, muscle here. Sort of just kind of grab around it, feel back and forth around that till you get to the elbow. And you could just take a hold of your forearm muscle there and grab it and squeeze it. All right, we're going to come back to this in a little bit, but this is a wonderful way to actually wake up this tissue and hydrate it, and it does relate to keeping your wrist healthy, so it's all connected. All right, so we've kind of checked out all of the bones now, and let's just look at some interesting facts, which is on the thumb side, and this radius bone, there is a very clear bony connection between the wrist and the forearm. Not just in the bones, but in the connective tissue. It's a very strong connection that can bear weight. Then if you go over to the other side, notice how on the pinky finger side, we have this big gap here. And it's less stable for weight bearing, not as supportive. So, and you can kind of feel this if you're actually palpating how very connected the thumb side as you move from the wrist into the forearm is compared to the pinky finger side. So when you want to bear weight, or when you are bearing weight in your hands, it's ideal to bear more weight, transfer the weight over to this thumb side of the hand, because it has the structure to support that, and this is much more of a risk, and you can run into more trouble if you're dropping your weight into the little finger side. And I'm going to look at that a bit in a video more related to yoga later, where we will explore that a little more. So another important thing to know is that the space in between the radius and the ulna has a membrane. It has what's called the interosseous membrane, inter in between, osseous bones. And this interosseous membrane is very important when it comes to weight bearing, because it's what transfers the load from our hand through the bones into the shoulder and into the core of the body. So we want to keep that tissue very healthy and hydrated and responsive. So we're going to look at some things we can do to keep this healthy, hydrated, responsive. But first I want to just look at what's going on in the hand and the wrist here. The wrist, as we know, we're probably very familiar with this term, the carpal tunnel. There is a tunnel here, right? It's a little bridge. And the hand has an arch. So this arch is similar to the arches we have in our feet. Very important if we're going to bear weight in the hand. So we need to know how to maintain that arch and maintain the integrity of this tunnel when we're bearing weight. So the carpal tunnel gets into trouble and can collapse and when we put a lot of strain on it. And when we're putting strain on that and we begin to collapse that arch, we get nerve compression. And as you probably know, we get that nerve compression also when we are doing repetitive stress activities that create repetitive stress and end up pinching the nerves in there. Therefore you get numbness, or you get tingling first and then numbness. So we're going to do this little self-massage technique and experiential anatomy technique to maintain the health of our hands, our wrists, and our forearms. So the first thing is, if you just open up your fingers and you find what you might call the fat pad of the thumb, we're going to massage that. So just kind of with the pads of your other hand, massage that, or you can even do it with your thumb. Massage that fat pad. And then we're going to go over to the pinky finger side and massage that fat pad. Right? So just bring some awareness, we're bringing some proprioception, we're bringing hydration to the area. And then we're going to go to the center of the palm and massage that area. So when we bear weight on the hand, in order to maintain this arch, we need strength, but we also need flexibility. So it's important to be able to stretch the thumb out away from the fingers, right? So working on bringing that thumb away and stretching the fingers away. And there's some things we'll do in the yoga video that will help with this, but you can just do this for right now, working on getting that space. And then we want to imagine like a cat retracting its claws, pulling its claws. See how that really increases that arch there? I'm pretending that I'm drawing the fingers back in. And another thing that I do is sort of imagine like a suction cup, as if in the center of my palm is like a suction cup. And that will help to maintain the arch of the hand, maintain the integrity of the wrist, and draw the weight up through the forearm that way. So for this interosseous membrane, we already kind of started that little experiential anatomy massage by palpating the bones, simply tracing the bones and then taking hold of this soft tissue and massaging it. And you can do this on the other side as well. And now, instead of just palpating the actual bone, I'm taking my fingers into that center tissue and really massaging it. Okay, so there's a number of different ways you can do that. I'm getting into this space here. And you can find that on yourself. So just work with that, massaging. And another way that you can do this, although I really recommend this, is to take a ball, like a tennis ball, or this is a lacrosse ball. There's something that's in between the two of these called a pinky ball. If you ever get one of those, find one of those at the kids' toy store. And you can lay this on a table. I don't have a table here easy to show you, but you can roll with the ball along the table and massage that. And I wouldn't just go vertically. You can also do this side to side, widthwise massage, okay? So that you're really waking up all that tissue. So just notice, one hand worked and one hand received, so they're going to feel different, but notice the differences in the two arms. So there's another thing that we can do, particularly to prevent carpal tunnel syndrome, and just give your arms and hands some relief. If you work at a computer a lot or do other very repetitive types of things with your hands, take a break periodically and grab the two middle fingers and bring the wrist back and the fingers back. And as you draw that back, you're going to be feeling this stretch along this side of the hand. So just take a few moments to let that sink in. And then you're going to take the hands from the fingers, the two middle fingers from the other way. Let your wrist bend so that the fingers are pointing at the floor, and then pull those two fingers back toward your body. So now you're going to feel the stretch along this side. So we're bringing some balance to the muscles, the flexor and the extensor muscles, letting them stretch. And that can be a really nice way to take a break periodically from your computer and just give that carpal tunnel area a break. Okay, so here's a thing that I like to do, and again, in our yoga video, I'm going to show this in another way. But I'm putting my hands together at the wrist area, and I'm going to roll, trying to keep the wrists together. I'll show this from a couple of different angles. This is bringing some very circular, non-linear movement, and you can go the other way to the wrists. And you can do it anywhere if you don't mind looking weird like this, but you don't need anything special. But notice I'm trying to keep my hands in contact. And it really brings a nice circular, non-linear movement in the tissues. So that's another wonderful thing you can do, and I will show an extension to that in my next video. And then the last thing is strength. So to maintain strength in these muscles, of course they have all those little things you can do to, build grip strength. But really, the best way to do it is actually have to grip something. And so I love monkey bars or pull-up bars. So even just grabbing a hold of a monkey bar and letting yourself hang and letting your hands work hard to hold you there. You don't even have to actually do the pull-up, although I recommend it. That's great. And then actual monkey bars where you grab and you let go and grab another one. This all builds a lot of strength. And there is some research out there that shows that that kind of strength and arm work is related positively to heart health. So I don't have that research right on hand, but you could look it up. So if you're taking your kids or your grandkids out to the playground, don't sit there and watch them. Get on the monkey bars and do yourself a favor and work on the strength of your forearms. So when those forearms are strong and supple and hydrated, you are going to have a much better chance of keeping those wrists happy and healthy and strong. So thanks for joining me. I hope these things work for you and that you try them out. And I hope you'll join me for my next video.